And he has very interesting even educational qualifications. He has done his MCom. So now you can see that even if you have a background in arts or commerce, Sky will always invite you to look at it and enjoy it. So I think Tusharji's uh, experience for us is very interesting, and it's very inspiring for us also to hear him. He has been since 2014, that means he has completed more than 10 years as Master Resource Person at Vigyan Prasar, New Delhi. And under this program, he has conducted 65 training courses for teachers of various schools and also specially for tribal teachers. He has conducted 1,000 Akash Darshana, that is sky watching programs, and he has also conducted more than 112 Newtonian telescopes, telescope making, and in this process, he has been able to, spread 6,000 telescopes around the country in a very, very grand kind of an initiative by holding workshops in the leading educational institutions of the country like IIT, IISER, IIST, planetariums, and universities across India since 2000. So for the last 25 years, I think he has put on the map of India various telescopes. So congratulations, and this is something very, very great. He has also, between 2005 and 2017, worked as an astronomy expert and instructor at National Defense Academy, Pune. And he is, besides, helping people build their own telescopes, he has an expertise in designing low-cost experiments for science and astronomy activities, making models. And another thing which I think IEPT can also think of is he has created more than 1,100 mobile planetarium shows under IUCAA and Muktangan Exploratory Science Center. I would like that, Sharji, you please tell us more about Muktangan Exploratory Science Center also. What is it? He has also conducted more than 85 refractive telescope making, that is Galilean type workshops since 2004 across India and made 3,500 telescopes with students and teachers. So now you add to 6,000 this number. This turns out to be more than 10,000 telescopes. I think he is a hero of the country. I have no other words less than that to describe Tushar Purohit ji. Fortunately, we found him in Dharamshala also. He was there to conduct a pre-convention workshop for us. He is a very active member of Astronomy Club Akash Mitra in Pune. He is also an editor of Sky World Astronomy magazine, which is circulated on all India basis since 2014. Tusharji, please do share the e-version of that magazine with the members of the NASNI also. I think that will be something very, very great. He is also, because, whenever you have to look at the sky, one looks at where the sky is best uh, visible. And naturally, that also brings him closer to another very interesting activity where he participate with Explorers Trekking Club for the last 15 years. And he takes kids with him to help them explore during those sky watching camps, the sky. Even corporate tours have also been conducted by him. Right now, he is associated with IUCAA for telescope making activity since 2012. He is working in TMT India and LIGO India outreach team of IUCAA Pune. To describe him in two words, he is an observational astronomer and he has ignited minds through VIPNet Science Club and Vigyan Prasar for asteroid hunting. Tusharji, you will be very happy to know that one of our members in NASNI is also very much interested in asteroid hunting. So, in this process, since 2020, 10 asteroids have been located, and this search is still going on. So, this is not also a small uh, distinction. There was another thing, which was there this time,
Good
and
evening, everyone.
that was
Am I
actually
audible?
yes, you are audible, please.
You are audible, sir.
Hello.
Please wait.
So regularly,
Am I
he
audible?
yeah,
Yes,
you are
yes,
audible.
You are audible, sir. You are
you
audible.
are audible.
So I think the list is
Hello.
very long,
Yes,
Huh.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and we are looking
So,
forward to his presence here. So thank you very much, and I'm stopping here, and I welcome Tusharji to start his.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for introducing.
uh, thank you, Kumar sir, Aluwalia sir, for introduction. But I am not a doctor. I'm an amateur astronomer and professionally working for the telescope making and optics. Okay, and astronomy is a hobby from since my school days. So I started the things and I perceived this. And now I'm working with IUCAA for a public outreach activity. So the expertization is the telescope making and astronomy. So I conduct some various workshops related to that. So shall we start?
And Hemanji, you please share, make him co-host so that he can share the screen.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Done it?
Tushar, sir, now you are co-host. Yes, sir. It's done.
Tusharji, your screen is visible.
Tushar, sir, you are
Okay.
just it is visible.
My volume and this thing. Okay.
अभी शुरू हुआ है.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
So basically, the thing is, we are talking about the heaven, or the most of the times we are just observing the various sky. So this is the one of the beautiful sky, which is the image is taken close to the Pune. And now you can see there are the n number of the stars, and generally always the people talk about ki uncountable stars are visible. but actually that is not the true. You can count them actually. And basically, whenever you are observing, hello,
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
huh? So basically, you can see the many more stars are visible, and sometime you get a observe the patch of the Milky Way. We are living in a Milky Way, whatever the our galaxy. So we can see a twice a time the central portion and the outer portion of our Milky Way. But the central portion is extremely bright. There are the number of stars are more. So you will find this particular area is crowded. And this is the center of our galaxy. And the constellation or the exact location, it is between the Sagittarius and the Scorpio. So if you are observing this particular constellation, if you know this, you can able to find this particularly a beautiful Milky Way galaxy. Okay. So that is one of the beautiful to be observed. So whenever we are observing this, particularly the sky, we talk about the various number of constellations, stars and everything. So generally thing is, ki whenever we are observing from the city, we don't see the uncountable number of the stars. So this is the view from the city. So only the bright stars are visible, okay, which we can easily identify them and count them. So hardly if you have a best little bit a better quality sky, then you can maximum able to see the maximum 100 stars are visible. Then we don't say uncountable number of stars. But observing an uncountable number of the stars, you have to go slightly away from the city and you can observe the things. And while you are observing, you will find the central portion is dark. But on the edges or the horizon, there is a light glow. So every evening we start switch on the so many lights everywhere on a low roadside, on the buildings and everywhere. And because of this light, we are generating a light pollution. And that is the first reason where we can't see the faint stars are visible. So just only the bright stars are visible, and whatever the bright star we are observing, all the stars is having a different names, as we can understand. So here I am showing you the Vega, that is also known as Abhijit, Arcturus, that is a Swati, this Pika, we call it as a Chitra. And apart from this bright star, sometimes you get a different type of the planets are visible in night sky. So if we can go a little bit outside, then now my stars are has been increased in a multiple level. Now I can see many more phantom stars are visible. It's just outskirts of the city, and now I am observing almost 500 to 600 stars are visible. Again, I will go a little bit a dark sky, and this is the original sky, basically which we have to observe. And generally, people thinks about it's an uncountable number of stars. And this type of the experiment or the idea is taken by the various number of people. So how to count them? The first we can decide or classify this particular sky in a different way. Either each and every stars has a different brightness. So either we can bifurcate all the stars with along with the brightness. And in astronomy, we call it as a magnitude. The first of all is done by the person named is Hipparchus, who started observing the sky. And what he has done, so he has done exactly the same thing. After the sunset, only the bright stars are visible. After some time, now some more faint stars are visible. Then after some time, when completely the sky becomes a dark and there are many more stars. So he classified all the stars from a first
magnitude or the class to 6 magnitude, where the 6 magnitude stars are barely visible stars. It's basically observed by him. Then he found there are the another bright stars. So here, so there are the few bright stars are extremely brighter than whatever he has classified as a class 1 star. So what is the best solution? So instead of changing the whole criteria, he started giving opposite side number. So there are the bright star, he has given the number as a 0, then -1, -2, -3. So generally, whenever we are observing the best, brightest star, which is right now visible on a western horizon, that is Venus. So if you consider or observe these particular stars that is easily available from the city or any urban area, any dark sky, any location, that extremely bright star is Venus. And Venus magnitude is a -4.5. It's a -4.5. So you can compare the stars along with each and every with comparing the brightness. You can identify them, you can classify them. But after that, even though we classify the stars, it's difficult to count them. So what is the best option? The best option, we can bifurcate all the sky in the different parts. So generally we call it as a constellation. And constellation, if you start observing the constellation, you will find the stars are like this. Okay. So here you can see a same thing, many more. And now what I generally do, in our school days, we make a different type of the drawings with the help of the points. The points has given a number. So I join the points along with the numbers and I can get a good quality of image. Same thing I will apply in the sky. So now I'm joining all the stars with an imaginary line and they are making a different shapes. So now this is a Leo constellation. So now you are observing a moon in a constellation Leo. Okay, that is also important in astronomy. So the moon always help you to find out constellations and the stars. All right. So that is the basic idea when the people started considering the sky is distributed in a groups that is called a constellation. And there are total 88 constellations are visible in whole sky. So we have distributed complete sky in 88 constellation. As we can understand, the Earth is distributed between the different countries and the boundaries. So the same thing we apply in the sky. We bifurcated all the constellation in a different boundaries and we can calculate the stars in between that constellation. And now it becomes easy to count them. And so what is the best thing what we can see? So along with this beautiful thing, if we can start counting the stars, so that is the best. So Hipparchus started with a class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. That is ideal condition sometime. And there are the stars with a 0 magnitude. Then this is the best brightest or the first brightest star visible. That is a -1.5. That is a Sirius. Now this is visible a little bit on a southeast location below the Orion. If you know the particular constellation Orion, it's easy to find out this particular star, that is a Sirius. That is the first brightest star visible in the night sky. Apart from this particular thing, there are the other things, that is a Jupiter, Venus. These are the planets. They are not a star, but they are reflecting the sunlight. So they appears to be extremely bright in the night sky. Then we generally see the moon. Every day moon changes the phases and the moon changes the phases according to that. the brightness is also changing. So the maximum, whenever you are observing a full moon, the brightness is calculated as a negative 13 around. And the first brightest star visible in a daytime, that is the sun. The sun is also calculated in a magnitude scale level that is known as a negative 26. So this number will help you to understand the magnitude and the brightness about the stars, what is the visible in the night sky. So if we can start calculating, now there is a tricky thing. So now for a negative 1.5, that is the first brightest star, that is counted as a 1. Okay. For the zero magnitude, that is a standard magnitude, that there are the 4 stars in a sky. So 1 plus 4, that is a 5. If you can calculate, so according to the magnitude, you can easily find out how many stars are visible in your location. So if you are calculated the limiting magnitude of the sky, what I mean to be a limiting magnitude, that means you can try to find out which is the faintest star visible in your location. So that is the limiting magnitude we generally call in astronomy. For the purpose of it tells you about what is the seeing condition of your area. So sometime whenever you are observing from the cities, there are this huge light glow. So it's hardly difficult to see a 3 magnitude stars also. So just 100 stars are visible. All right, but sometimes you get a little bit of better sky. So there are the 4 magnitude considered to be as a 4 magnitude is the general city sky. So we can maximum see the 700 stars are visible or 750 visible. But these all the stars are not visible at a one single time. So that is a completely distributed into a whole sky. So half of the sky is visible. So you can find this particular location or the particular number of the stars. But if you go a slightly a better sky, then you can easily find out 5 to 6 magnitude stars, and the number is tremendously changed. Now instead of 750, now it's 2354 stars are visible. And if you go seriously some dark location, so the most of the people or the astrophotographers are nowadays visiting Leh Ladakh for taking astrophotography. So what is the benefit to going there? First thing, you get a little bit of altitude, and the most important thing, there is no air pollution and light pollution. So that is why the sky becomes extremely transparent and clear. So now the completely number is changes. So now you are going to see observe more than 7,000 stars. But this number is almost half whenever you are during the observations. That is a complete in a globe. So apart from this, you can see many more stars. And that is why we are making a bigger and bigger telescope to see more fainter and fainter stars. So the most important, whenever you start the thing, generally we people talk about, first of all, you have to find out on location or the direction in night sky. And generally people says, oh, find out a pole star. Pole star is on a northern side. And generally people consider the pole star is extremely bright, which is easily available and easily we can find. But that is not the truth. The pole star is a second class magnitude star. So the sometime and it is a little bit closer to the horizon. So that is why sometimes it's difficult to find out a pole star. So the best option to observe or the find a pole star, that is the Saptarishi, Ursa Major. So you can find this particular constellation easily. And most of the Indian knows about this particular constellation, Saptarishi. You can visit any location, any place. The most of the people are knows about and understand about this and how to find out this particular constellation. But the most important thing, if you are joining the first and second star, join the stars, increase the line, you will find this is a pole star. But whenever you are observing, there is another important thing. pole star is visible on northern side, northern horizon. That also tells you about if you can calculate the exact distance from the horizon, northern horizon to the location, it tells you about what is your latitude. So that is why the pole star is important to calculate exact direction and your latitude. Okay, if you are observing from the consider to be you are living on a equator and you are observing the sky, the pole star will be exactly visible on a northern horizon on a 0 degree. But we are not living on a equator. We are not living on a exactly the location. We are different parts of the this uh close to the northern side. So our country begins from the 10 degree to 30 degree. So each and every location, our latitude changes. So according to the latitude changes, we can see the pole star at a different altitude in a sky. But if you are observing from the southern India and you are observing a sky, the sometime this particular constellation, it does not rises some location and does not sets. But on a southern India, it rises and sets. Okay, so the sometime this particular constellation is not visible in a night sky. So what is the best option? So this is the one of the constellation which always help to find the pole star. And there is another one more constellation. Okay, uh, I will just complete this thing. So this is another constellation which tells you about to find out a pole star. This is a Cassiopeia, and a beauty is important. Basically, this particular Cassiopeia and Ursa Major or Saptarishi, both are exactly opposite to each other. So whenever you are observing a sky, at least one of the constellation is visible in a night. So that is the important, so easily to find and observe the particularly, and it always help you to find out a direction and the location. Okay, so there are the one more thing. There are the nowadays we are using so many mobile and the smart application. So the best for the computer and this thing, that is a stellarium.org. This is a location, and this stellarium is an application. It's a freeware. You can use this or install this and use this, particularly observing the sky. It will help you to show you the different type of the constellation and the deep or the other deep sky objects. But you are just a beginner. You wanted to search the constellation and find the wherever the planets are visible. The best option is don't install this stellarium. You install this third particular application, that is a sky view. Okay, the sky view is the best and beautiful particular application. It use your rear camera, which is behind your mobile, and it tells you exactly what is the location surrounded with you. So there is some buildings is there. So a particular star or constellation will rise exactly close to that building. So you can move your mobile and it will tell you exact location where the things will appear. So that is at an initial level, you can start along with this sky view. If you are becomes a little bit familiar, then you can use a different type of the applications. And if you are seriously interested in a particularly whatever the Indian names which is given to the constellation, then you use Indian sky map. That is another Indian particularly application. Okay, so whenever we are talking about the constellation and this thing, so this is another ready-made thing. Go online, search for the sky map, and according to your latitude, it will calculate your sky for the particular time which you can accept or interested to whenever you are observing. And on the other side, it will give you the particularly the events for that particular month. So that is another thing. And if apart from the visual or the this thing, there is a one more thing where you can find there are the objects which you can observe through the telescope. So there is the list. So these are the objects which you can use. You don't require any particular instrument. You can use your basic telescope. Whenever I'm say the basic telescope, that is your eye. Because the astronomy began with when we started observing the sky. The telescope is just invented just 400 years back. So we have started the astronomy from the ancient time. So we are observing with our basic telescope, that is eye. So that observation is truly important. So then if you have a pair of binocular, you can use the pair of binocular and you can explore a little bit more. And if you have a telescope, then there is no limit. You can see many more things which is visible in night sky. So these are the particularly application and this material is available online. So I will just go back. Okay. So I was showing this picture. Okay. So basically, when I say there are the few location which is apart from the 23.5 degree. Okay. So where you can see or 25 degree. This particular constellation, that is the Ursa Major. It will completely make a one rotation within a day. So it does not rises or set. So you can use this particular constellation to find out what is the time during the night. So if you have a habit without using your watch, you can just observe the sky and you can tell what is the exact time. So it completes the one rotation within 24 hours. So that you have to make the practice. So that is also interesting activity and the practice for your observation. Okay. So another beautiful thing is observing the sun in a daytime. And generally, if you are observing recently, so at the time of the rise or set, there are the few bright sunspots are visible. Okay. But keep in mind, extremely important, extremely important. Don't look at the sun with the telescope. Okay. Don't use the pair of binocular or telescope to observe the sun. Okay. It's extremely harmful. All right. Keep in mind. So basically observing a sun, you require a different type of the filters. And with the, you can use the filters and you can observe the sun and the sunspot. Or otherwise the best option, if you wanted to observe the sun, take the projection on a paper and you can observe the sun. So this is a beautiful image taken by Abhijit Zuekar. He is a friend from Mumbai who has taken the initial interest. So he has taken the images on 4 different days and he combined them. So now you can see. So this is a 15 March, the sun was rising close to this particular location. On a 19 April, the sun is setting at this particular location. So whenever we talk about the sun's motions, so actually you can take the images and you can easily observe this thing, particular phenomena in a daytime. So the sun always change the northern and southernwards positions. So you can observe this beautiful thing. So whenever I start talk about, that is important. So this is equator where I'm started observing. So my particularly either this is a sun or whatever the stars you are observing. Okay. And now my pole star is exactly visible on a particularly north horizon at a close to the 0 degree. So this particular location will be close to the equator. So easily I can identify the particularly just observing this particular pole star. Now I have shifted. Now I have shifted to a little bit northern side. So let's see at 15 degree. So now instead of observing on a horizon, now my pole star is shifted to the 15 degree above on the northern side. So it tells you about what is your exact latitude. For observing this coordinate system is important to find the particularly constellation and this thing. Now it is almost close to the 60 degree. Close to the 90 degree. And if you go to the pole star will be visible exactly overhead. So the most of the time, whenever you are observing, you will find this circle tells you about there are the constellation which is lies in between these things. They will never rise, never set. And if you come a little bit back, so you will find there are the few constellation will rise and set. If you change the location towards the equator, again you will find there are the constellation will few constellation will remain as it is, and the other constellation will rise and set. So whatever the constellation which remains visible in a night sky, we call them as a circumpolar star. So which never rise, never set. So exactly opposite thing. There are the few constellation which never rises at your location. That is particularly on the southern side. So this constellation, if you wanted to observe, then you have to cross the equator to observe the particular this thing. So that is the beauty actually. And can anybody will guess? So basically we observe from wherever we are rotating around the sun. Okay, we generally talk about. So on the background of the sky, we always see the sun is moving in a different zodiac or constellation. So you will find this is particularly this is a Scorpio. And basically this is the belt. This is the ecliptic belt where we can see the sun is moving or making a path or making an orbit around Earth. So whatever that particular band or the constellation we generally calculate, that is the zodiac constellations. So generally whenever we are observing, the first important thing is sun. And the second important thing is moon. So that is why in our regular Panchang and Almanac, you will find there are the 27 constellation. Always we talk about 27 constellation. We never talk about 88 constellation in Panchang or other things. Basically, this particular belt, this path, ecliptic, there are the basically the moon complete a one rotation around Earth within 27 and a half days. So we can have decided to give a particular mark. So whenever we are observing a moon at a different location in a sky, every day we have taken a particularly a bright star. So there are the 27 bright stars around, or the constellations or nakshatra we consider for this particular path. But apart from this 27, there is the complete whole sky is distributed between the 88 constellations. So keep in mind, that is also important. So whenever you are observing, you can see the moon through the telescope. And the most important, so whenever you are start observing a moon, just don't look like this. Try to observe this. Generally, people think the moon will be a best at the time of the full moon. But that is not a good actually. The moon becomes extremely bright, and whenever you are adding the equipment, it becomes extremely bright. And becomes difficult to observe the details. So the best time to observe before the half moon. So where you can see many more crater, valleys, mountains, and try to identify with the help of the moon map or a moon atlas, and try to find out what is the distance, size, and these other things. So whenever you are observing, you can see the first half, then the rest of the things you can observe. And now you are observing this first half at the evening, and the second half you can observe in the morning sky, and you can identify a different type of the craters and the mountains or different features, which is generally best to observe on the moon. So apart from the moon, this is another beautiful thing which you can observe. And this is basically whenever your people look at this particular object, they generally consider as a moon. But this is not the moon, this is Venus. So if you observe the Venus and Mercury, all the Venus and Mercury will always will show you the different type of the this phases like a moon. So this first time observed by the Galileo Galilei, and he becomes a completely confused why these things are appearing like this. He's shocked about. He generally the people are thinking the Earth is a center and everything revolves around the Earth. But because of this first observation of observing Venus, he found the Venus is showing a different phases. But what is the answer for this? He was searching for that. Then he found another beautiful thing after this. So basically, whenever you are observing a Venus, so he initially thought about this thing, the Earth, Venus, and Sun. So that is why the Venus is showing a phases like this. But actually, the Earth is and Sun. The Venus is inside the Earth. So whenever the full Venus is visible, that is behind the Sun. So it will rise along with the Sun and set with along with the Sun. Whenever the moon or this particular Venus started moving towards a little bit on the other side, and it makes a slightly angle or the distance from the basically from the Sun. When after the sunset, now the Venus will be visible on a western horizon. So here, this particularly, we can see the Venus on a western horizon. Slowly, you can see, and it slowly comes closer to the Earth. So that is why we can see the Venus size. So if you compare, so this is Venus, and this is also Venus, but the sizes are different. Here is a smaller, and here is a bigger. That is why here, whenever we are observing this particular location, the size is appear to be extremely small. But when the Venus comes closer to the Earth and making angle, the brightness is always maintained the same, but you can see a very thin crescent. Then slowly it disappears. Again, it will appear in a morning sky. Now, the Venus will rise before the Sun. Okay. So that is why now the Venus will be visible in a morning sky before the Sun. That is the east side or east horizon. Then another beautiful thing which we can observe through the telescope, that is a Mars. So generally the Mars has a features, but not like the Venus or the other planet. It's basically, first thing, it is a small in a size. And the second important thing, it actually appears as a just orange colored disk, small disk. If you have a bigger telescope and you start observing, then you can able to see a little bit a dark patch and this features which slightly visible on the Mars. So here is the particularly this particular area, that is the pole where you can see the ice cap. Okay, that is, and sometimes the Mars comes extremely closer, that time it becomes extremely bright than this particularly brighter than this Jupiter. So that time you can observe this particular Mars with the bigger telescope. You can see many more features on this particular planets. So after this, now most important here we are observing just like a phases. We don't observe the particularly a full disk of the Venus, but now the first outer planet for us, that is a Mars. So here you are observing a complete disk, and the next thing we can observe the Jupiter. Okay, so you can see a Jupiter with 4 satellites, and the most beautiful visible thing is a two bright brown color bands. If you have a little bit a bigger telescope, like a 10-inch or 12-inch, then you can easily find this particular red particularly spot, which is visible on Jupiter. Then the beautiful thing is a Saturn, which is generally visible where this Mercury, Venus, Mars, then Jupiter and Saturn. These 5 planets are visible to our basic telescope, that is our eye. Okay, so we can easily point the telescope and you can observe the particularly these particular planets. So Jupiter shows you the bands and the 4 satellites, which is discovered by the Galileo, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. And whenever you are observing this particular ring planet, that is a Saturn, so whenever you are observing, you can able to see one more satellite or the moon of the this Saturn is visible. The name is a Titan. That is another biggest satellite of a Mars. So apart from this, sometime you can able to see the comets are visible. Recently, one of the comet was visible at a naked eye. The few people have tried this to observe this thing. So whenever you are observing a comet, that is another thing. But apart from the comet, you are observing this particular tail. That is a dust and gas tail. That is important. Sometime Earth enters in this particular orbits, and that is why you can see a meteor shower appears to be a sea in a different location and different parts to observe these beautiful things. So whenever you are observing a meteors, you can trace back this tail. So you will find all the meteors are appearing from a one point, and with that particular point, we'll call it as a radiant of that particular meteor shower. All right. So this particular radiant is close to the Perseus constellation. That is why we call this particular meteor shower or the particular period. This is known as a Perseid meteor shower. That actually happens to be in the month of August and close to the 11 to 13 August. So you can observe this many more meteors visible to your eye. And another famous and beautiful meteor shower, which exactly appears to be a 16-17 night or 17-18 night of a November, where you can see this particular Leonid meteor shower. And whenever you wanted to start observing a meteor shower, what is the best meteor shower? And sure, where you can see many more meteors. That is the location is Geminids, and that is in a month of December. So you can see a 13-14 December or 14-15 December. That particular night, this particular meteor shower begins around 11 o'clock, and you can observe many more meteors till the sun rises. And all these meteors are extremely bright. It's extremely fun to observe the things. And if you are seriously interested observing this meteor shower, so we can actually observe with scientifically take the data, observe it, and we can submit to the International Meteor Organization, where this data is collected for particularly these meteor showers, which you can observe. So these are the particularly the period where this meteor shower take place at a different time of the year. And this is the main important day where you can observe the maximum number of the meteors, which is visible. So you can start with this Gemini that is on around 14 December. Sometimes it's a very cold night, but try out, observe this particular phenomena. At least you can see 300 to 400 meteors within a night. So that is extremely a nice chance to observe this particular meteor shower. Apart from this particular, so whenever you start the things, that is a general, you are doing all these things as for a fun. But if you are seriously little bit interested doing a serious little work in astronomy, so you can go for this another concept that is called the citizen science. Okay. And this citizen science, you can just visit to this Galaxy Zoo or Zoo Universe that org. And here you can find many more projects which are related with a citizen science. So what is the citizen science concept? A citizen science concept is basically in a world, there are the almost 400 telescopes we are working each and every night. And they are programmed, they are taking the data every night, collecting the data. So whatever the data is collected by the observatory, it's in so many big, huge data. And we require almost a very fast and the maximum number of the computer to reduce and analyze this particular data. So whoever the scientists or whoever are doing a research, these people are not enough to reduce this particular data. So this data is given to the public, where the public is actually observe or analyze this particular data with a particular method and analysis table or particular system. And you can analyze this all the data and resubmit this particular data. So whenever you are resubmitting, you are also doing the best or serious work in astronomy. So whenever whoever are using your data and whenever they will publish a paper, you also get a credit. And these particular people are known as a citizen science. So as sir mentioned in my thing, I has started this with a zoo universe. It's observing a different type of the galaxy. Then I started with asteroid hunting thing. So almost more than 12 asteroids were hunt within the last 3 or 4 years. So every month there is a campaign where you can participate, you can analyze the data, and you can resubmit the thing. So if you are discovering an asteroid, yeah, this particular asteroid is known by you. So you are interested in something different things. So there are this is basically with a galaxy, this is with a different planetary or the exoplanetary system. Then you are interested in a solar system and moon observing. So this type of the particular things are available. So whatever and this particular citizen science program is not only for this particular astronomy, but this particular program is available for all the type of the science. If you are interested in particularly on an environment, there are the particularly a different uh, data and analysis where is used for observing this particular environment. Then you are interested in observing a birds and observing them. So there is another particularly, not only for the astronomy, I'm telling you a different location. So environment is there, bird watching is there, then astronomy is there. If you bifurcate the astronomy in a different parts, galaxy, exoplanet, supernova discovery, observing a different wavelength of the sun. observing a comet, asteroid. So you bifurcate any number of or a particular interest, and you will get the data and the particular observations where you can participate, analyze them, submit them. It is extremely useful for the next people who are doing a work in a next level thing. So that is your contribution for the serious astronomy. All right. So I will stop it here and thank you. Any more questions? I'm ready.
Thank you very much, sir, for this very uh, informative talk on the observational astronomy. And we have one question in the chat box that is from Dr. Neetu. Question is that is it okay to measure magnitude of all bright objects in the sky by same method, as many of them are planets which do not produce their light, rather reflect their star's light? That is the question.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yes, yes. Is it okay to measure magnitude of all bright objects in the sky by the same method? Whether they
Initially, when the Hipparchus started, he has just calculated randomly. Okay. Nowadays, we have a best quality telescope and the other instrument. So the best instrument you can use a photometer to calculate the brightness of this particular stars, and you can bifurcate exactly this particularly magnitude scale. And this magnitude scale changes between the 2.5 times every each and every class. So we have settled down or make this particular magnitude scale as a linear, but it's extremely easy. If you are observing an asteroid, comet, anything else, you can calculate the brightness.
Okay. Okay, sir. Another question is from Baba Sutar. Which telescope is suitable for beginners?
Which telescope is suitable for?
For beginners who are
Huh.
going to start observation.
For a beginner, I generally will suggest if you are using a refractor type of the telescope, the best start with the begin with, you can use a pair of binocular. That is the simplest tool. If you understand the sky a little bit, where to observe, what to observe, how to see them, then you go for the telescope thing. Now, whenever you go, switch to from binocular to telescope, so the telescope is should always comfortable, should not be heavy and easy transportable. So I started my talk with along with. So whenever you are observing, we are generally observing from the city, and from the city we can't see the many more stars and the fainter stars. So always whatever the things, if you are interested in observing a nebula, a galaxy, and other things, then you have to go to the outskirts of the city. So the telescope should be a lightweight, easy portable, and transportable. And about a mount, you can choice. That is your interest.
Right, sir. Sir, one more question is from Manish Khare. The question is, why do we have approximately 24 hours in a day? How do we get the number 24?
24 hours.
Yes, sir.
So basically, one simple thing. Why the circle has a 360-degree? We started our geometry. Nobody has an answer. So basically, when we started observing this particular best, our known star without instrument, that is our first instrument, that is our eye. So we have taken the instrument and observed this thing. So we calculated the sun takes almost a 360-degree from a particular star to come back to the same location. Now we exactly know that this particular time is a 365 days, 6 hours and minutes and seconds. That is our instrumental accuracy. But our first instrument, which we started observing, we calculated 360 days. So that is why our circle is a 360 degree.